Face Forward Media. This is Healthcare Musings. I'm your host, Dr. Hashem Hasabala. Welcome to Healthcare Musings, everybody. Happy to have you with me. On July 14th, the U.S. House of Representatives, I was surprised actually, passed the Sunshine Protection Act, which calls for daylight savings time to be permanent. That will be the permanent time. Of course, states can opt out if they want, but that'll make the permanent time across the country, and we'll get rid of the biennial changing of the clocks, where in November and in March we fall back and then spring forward, respectively, the clocks. And immediately, the American Academy of Sleep Medicine, of which I'm a fellow, because I'm a board-certified sleep specialist, condemned the action. Like literally the words they used is condemned it. And they have long advocated for standard time, meaning the time in the winter, to be the permanent time across the country. And they're also against the changing of the clocks, but they don't want permanent daylight savings time. And they go into the whole research about it. And I was so surprised that they said they condemned it. A few years back, I posted on Twitter at the time that this sleep doctor loves daylight savings time and would love to have it permanent, because I like the fact that in the summer, the sun sets past 8:30 or right at 8:30, and you have daylight for more of the time that I'm awake and doing things. And that's why I love summer. In Paris, I don't know. I'm not sure if they do, the spring forward is a fallback, but in Paris, the sun sets at 10 p.m. I mean, it's amazing. Like you have sunlight for so much of the day. And that's why I like it. And you can do more things at night. What I love about daylight savings is that, if I'm working an ICU shift and I finish at 7 p.m., I can get home, take my son, we can go golf for an hour, or maybe even, an hour and a half into dusk, because there's sunlight later in the day. Now, I said that on Twitter, and my phone blew up. I was attacked and accosted by a whole mob, it seemed like, of sleep researchers and sleep PhDs who are so anti-daylight savings, and it just was relentless for days on end. In fact, I took an issue. Someone said, "I can't believe that you're okay with kids being hit by cars," and we'll kind of explain what that means later. But like, okay, oh my God. And it was just relentless, the attacks against me. This sleep doctor needs to learn his physiology, or I would not want to go to this sleep doctor. Unbelievable. And so I learned that this debate it is fierce on the part of the people who are anti-daylight savings time. Again, what's clear is that people are sick of having to change the clocks. I think that's very popular, the idea of getting rid of it. The debate is, do you have permanent standard time or permanent daylight savings? And the Sleep Research Society, they had a position paper back in 2022, and they advocated for permanent standard time. And I encourage everyone to read it, and I'll link the paper in the show notes. They go over the history of clock changes, where it came about, what happens in the acute transitions between daylight savings and standard time, and the data about well-being and stroke and sleep loss, myocardial infarction, traffic accidents. And then they go over what are the arguments for adopting permanent standard time and what are the arguments for adopting permanent daylight savings. They even talk about splitting the difference. And in the end, they say, because of the, quote, preponderance of the evidence, that they are in favor of permanent standard time. And here's like, this is why I don't like it. So for example, like permanent standard time, in the Midwest, where I am here, okay, in Chicago, in the winter, sun rises at 7:30 and sun sets at 4:30. Okay. If you kept standard time the entire year, now in summer, the sun will rise at 4:30 and set at 7:30. 4:30 a.m. is super early. The arguments against daylight savings among the proponents that cite circadian biology, saying that it will delay sunlight to later in the morning, and that's detrimental to the circadian rhythm, and that standard time is more with the circadian clock because noon during standard time is right when the sun is right on top of us, as opposed to where then it's 1 o'clock in the summer if you do daylight savings. Okay, think about it. Most people, even me, are not up at 4:30 in the morning. Okay, and most people are not up that early. Um, Unless they have to work early. But even me, when I have to go for a 7 a.m. shift in the ICU, I'm not up at 4:30. If you have the sun rising, isn't that going to disturb your sleep? Because there's bright light, and bright light is the light is the most powerful trigger for the circadian clock. Light suppresses melatonin secretion, and darkness allows melatonin to be secreted. Okay. So isn't that disturbing? And I mentioned that to this person on Twitter, and he's like, buy blackout shades. Okay, that's not an argument. Okay, that's the point. The point is that where I'm at, 4:30 a.m., that should be disruptive to sleep completely because it's 4:30 in the morning and the sun's already out. Most people are not up and about at 4:30 in the morning. Most people will get up at 6 or 7, and even in daylight savings, the sun is already way up in the sky. It's even 7 in the morning. Okay, um, and most activity starts around 7, 8, 9. And when people finish their work, it's 5 or 6 o'clock. If you keep standard time, 7 o'clock, the sun's gone. There's not a lot to do. And that's a part of, the economic argument in favor of daylight savings is that there's more activity. You can do more things at night because the sun is out longer. And when the sun is out, you're encouraged to be out and about and do things. It's much better when the sun is out. You can't golf at night. You can't play tennis at night. You can't do pickleball at night. You can walk at night, but it's what's much more dangerous. If the sun's gone by 8 o'clock in the summer, a lot of the things that we do, you can't do because it's dark. Okay. So that's the argument. And again, what the whole thing about the circadian rhythm and the circadian biology, let me tell you something, folks. People aren't going to sleep when the sun sets. All right. They're not. What they do is they turn the lights on and they continue on with their day. And they have cell phones and computer screens and movie screens and television screens. No one is following the sunlight. Okay. We're not in the 1800s where people had candles. Okay. So this issue, this argument about it's more in line or you have circadian disalignment it's not based in reality of how people live today. People just flip the lights on. So we're not going to sleep we're not going to, if we kept standard time everywhere, we're not going to sleep at 7 o'clock at night. Most of us. Okay. Most people are doing things. Dinner reservations are at 7, 8, 9. The beauty of having daylight savings in the summer is that there's sun out when practical, when most people are doing it. Okay. That said, there is definitely an issue if we keep daylight savings in the winter. That's true. Now, sunrise, where I'm at, sunrise will be at 8:30 a.m. That's late. That's late. A lot of kids are going to be walking to school in the dark because they're walking to, school starts at 8 and the high school where I'm at starts at 7:30. Or it starts at 8, but we're leaving the house at 7:30 to get the kids on time. In the winter, if we had permanent daylight savings, that would be dark. That would be dark. There's no question about it. And that's where someone said, "Oh, I can't believe you're in favor of having kids hit by cars," which was stupid and ridiculous. But it's because there was a time where the country apparently experimented with permanent daylight savings, and kids got hit in the winter because it's dark. Let's take the flip side. Okay, fine. What about all the after-school activities? The school's out at 3:30. Kids are in practice. They do whatever. At 4:30, sun's out. Sun's gone. Sun's set. So how about the kids that are walking from home from after-school activities at 5 o'clock? It's dark. It's night. 5 p.m. is night. So you're trading one for the other. Kids can get hit on their way home from school practice or swim practice or track practice or football practice. I remember growing up when I was playing football, it's 6:30 and pitch black, and that's with standard time. Okay, so that's not an argument either. I was reading somewhere with the Congress is favoring sunlight for golfers as opposed to sunlight for kids. That is, that's it's obfuscation. All right, the adverse health effects that are cited, especially in the transitions, all relate to sleep loss, sleep deprivation. In the summer, in the spring, when we spring forward, yeah, we're losing an hour of sleep. 100%. That's what's bad. That's what's bad is the sleep deprivation. You're losing an hour of sleep because the clock moves forward. You have to get up now an hour earlier than you normally would have. Sleep deprivation is a problem. So I don't buy the circadian misalignment, especially in today with everyone on cell phones and lights and indoor lights. I don't buy it. Okay. I don't buy it at all. And I'm a sleep doctor. People, our circadian rhythms are all screwed up because of the light that we have inside and the light on our phones. So that's not an issue. That's not an argument. We have to make sure if we stay, which what I hope, personally, this is a personal thing. And as a sleep doctor, I'm not bothered by the theoretical effect on the circadian rhythm. If we kept daylight savings to be permanent, we just have to make sure that you get enough sleep the whole year round, so that because sleep deprivation is what's dangerous. That's what leads to obesity and diabetes, and can lead to stroke and heart attack and all those things. It's sleep deprivation. So just make sure you get enough sleep, man. Whenever it is, but personally, I would love it for you to have daylight savings. We have to be careful. There's no question. In the winter, it's dark at 8:30, especially in the Midwest. And I kind of get it if you're making a policy that affects the entire country and there's time zones in the way eastern edge of the country and western edge of the country, it can affect. I kind of get that when you have to look at it and then you can just cite the literature. But practically speaking, and I look at it from a practical perspective. As a physician, I looked at it from a practical perspective, is that daylight savings puts sunlight and it moves the clock time to a moment of the day where most people are doing most things. Talking maybe, let's say, 7:30 to maybe 9:30, right? You have daylight, bright daylight during that entire time during daylight savings. And if you keep standard time in the summer, the sun will be up way before anyone's doing anything. And then it'll set before most people want to continue to do things like go out for ice cream or go out to dinner or have a picnic or whatever. It's just not, it'll interfere, whatever the circadian rhythm. Again, people turning lights on. So it's ruining the circadian rhythm at all, anyway, but it's not practical. Daylight savings puts daylight and sunlight moves the clock time and puts the sun in the clock time where most people are doing stuff. Okay. And that's why this sleep doctor is advocating for permanent daylight savings. Right. And, I looked at the research and this argument just doesn't hold water for me. Thanks everyone for your time and attention. And I'll see you next time in Healthcare Musings. Thank you for listening. Sign up at healthcaremusings.com to get every episode delivered directly to your email. And please don't forget to leave a 5-star review. Thank you so much.